And it's episode 33 of the show that we do, and we're talking about, what, Anthem today, and all about all the Anthem stuff, and the Anthem VIP demo that we were in for 3 days in a row, and what you should expect for the open demo on February 1st, and all that junk. And we have a ton. Vast Empires wrote up a huge email and sent it to both of us and requested a thumbnail from me, which I...
Nay, a script.
Oh my goodness. It's Shakespearean in tone. It's amazing. So we have in our podcast today, me, Scorch, Arcadia Zero, and Vast Empires, as always. This is the triumvirate for the evening. And let's begin. We played Anthem! I mean, I played Anthem before, but...
It has been a long time coming. Oh goodness.
Yeah. So first of all, I know, Arcadius, that you have been very, very anxiously awaiting this game coming out, and has the demo lived up to the hype? Are you at all wary about how it's going to be?
I am currently not knowing the rest of the structure of the game and purely seeing the mechanics for what they are. Am not worried about this game.
Okay.
Bold words. I like it.
And I think I can say that because even though it's obviously a work in progress, which is the whole point of a demo, is to try and, demo the work that's been done thus far, for all the online grief, we'll get to that later, but for what they put out there, it was basically a show of, here's our mechanics, let's see if they work as intended, and if even what they were attempting is the intent of how they want the game to operate, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. I'll have to agree with you. The only reason, one of the reasons why I bring it up is because we played like the alphas and the betas of Destiny. Oh, there goes Vast.
Yep.
And I had this nagging feeling in the back of my head that, oh no, what have I done? I can't accept this because I've already spent money on it and I like Bungie. I can't say no to this.
You had an inkling, so you just pushed on through it?
Yeah, like the whole cognitive dissonance thing of, and
it's a real thing.
I still have a small bit of trepidation because I've been burned before, but I didn't have that feeling as much this time as I did in Destiny, which is a good thing.
True.
Yeah.
Setting things off the right way.
Vast, you've been quiet. What are your thoughts?
Well, I've been thinking about this, and my biggest concern with how I'm approaching this is, am I being fair to BioWare and myself as a gamer who opines in a show from time to time on a podcast and to friends, because stuff like that. Am I being fair to it? Because I'm not concerned. And you have heard me go on and on and on about different betas that we've tested, different games that we've played, fairly critically and sometimes even bordering on negatively. And I'm not feeling that way here. I'm still highly critical of the demo and the issues that went wrong. However, based on, like Arcadia said, the gameplay, the items that actually were presented to me as we played, I feel very good about Anthem, and I'm very excited to see it come to life.
Mm-hmm.
I do not regret my pre-order. I, however, respectfully reserve the right to change my opinion if on day one we are dealt with some really massive architecture problems that prevent me from playing the game.
Okay, so if Anthem came out in the state that it was in the demo, then your opinion might change.
if it came out in the state that it was in the demo, I would say we need to contact Consumer Reports.
Yeah, it would definitely be failing itself hard
Yeah.
if that was the case.
So-
If that was the case.
But because this was a demo, I am a little bit more lenient, and I have no alliance to EA. We are not being paid or sponsored.
Are you gonna bring up the
To all those people out there.
bring up the Twitter argument that we got into?
Well, we can go ahead and talk about that,
For
and
being
then
an
actually,
EA shill.
Yeah, we got accused of being corporate shills from somebody on Twitter because
Clearly somebody who has not watched our previous bashings of games and
yeah.
involving EA.
we have
Oh my gosh.
gone off on them before.
destroyed EA.
multiple times.
I highly doubt EA would ever want to sponsor us
No,
after all of that
absolutely not.
shenanigans.
No, although they should, if they manage to change their minds, they know they would get an unbiased.
All right, EA, you heard
That's
it.
true.
Wave the
That's
money
very
and
true.
Vast will talk.
I'll tell you how I really feel. But no,
Yeah.
I get my paycheck from another company, so EA doesn't have to pay me. So
Yes.
to tell
How
the truth, but
convenient.
just really quickly, let's run over the issues that actually happened in the beta, because there were a few, and we're going to get to the good things and some of the gameplay things that you can expect to help you make a decision of, if you're going to purchase, when you're going to purchase, set some expectations. But even though I'm sure many people have already heard what occurred during the demo, I think we should do a quick rundown ourselves.
Yeah, so we're going to start with the bugs and stuff, right? That's how the list goes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The big ones. You can do the big ones. We can get into some little ones too, but
Yeah.
we'll hit the big ones.
I
first.
imagine we're going to get friggin' granular on this here
Oh, yeah.
episode of whatever it
In
is that we're
time.
calling this
In
nowadays.
time.
But the bugs, I think the largest bug that we encountered was the infinite loading screens.
Yeah, that's a showstopper there.
That was the largest barrier to play that we faced.
And to some, it was the barrier. I actually read a couple comments online of people who never actually got past that, no matter how many times they tried.
Oh boy, man, that's rough.
So they
That
just
is rough.
did not get to play the demo.
Man.
But something that kind of made me salty was some of these people were like, "Oh yeah, BioWare deserves to give me compensation because I couldn't play the VIP demo."
It's a
I'm like,
demo.
"Really?"
They didn't
I
have
was
to
like,
do that for you.
It's like, did you people stop your livelihoods to do this, and now you want to blame the fact that you didn't earn a living wage or something during this demo time frame? Or I don't know. I'm kind of baffled by it, but people were legitimately like, "Oh, BioWare owes me for the demo not working right."
No, they don't. No. They
Not
didn't have
one
to do
god
this.
dang thing. No.
That was not included in the price of the game.
Absolutely. There was no line item there. Oh, by the way, you get a free demo with the purchase of this game.
And it will
That's
work
a fact.
exactly as the final product will work. See it here in the fine print. That's not the way it worked, okay?
Exclusion, exclusion, exclusion.
Yeah. So what we're talking about is when you loaded into expeditions or strongholds, essentially any time that you transferred from your pilot to a javelin for gameplay, or from a javelin to your pilot to walk around in Fort Tarsus, the load bar that you had in the top of the screen would fill up to 95% and then stop, and you would get stuck there until you closed the application and restarted it. At which point, sometimes it would ask you, you already have this expedition session going, would you like to rejoin it? And then if you rejoined it, the odds were higher that you could get into the match that you wanted to play. But that's not always
sort of
how
like a
it
backdoor
happened.
workaround.
Yeah.
It was basically the impromptu backdoor workaround.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it worked sometimes, it didn't work other times, but it's the way it goes.
Yep. Such is
So
life.
you familiarize yourself with some of the loading screens.
Yeah.
Um,
All that
which
concept
had
art.
some beautiful concept art, if I may say. Uh, saw quite a lot of that. No tool tips, I noticed. There were no tips, that you usually get. So I'm curious to see if that actually comes about, if those are going to be there, like duck first, or did you fly close to the water so you can, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If you roll combo, this will happen.
Yeah, I like tooltips. Someone worked really hard to condense that information.
So what were some of the other bugs that y'all encountered?
Rubber banding was one that they acknowledged on their official Twitter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
did
don't
you
know if I remember
specifically...
seeing that.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I did not encounter that much rubber banding, if any. It's not something that I could pick out.
Yeah.
I recall Arcadius saying once that he experienced it. Like, I remember that happening in one of the matches.
Yes, you are right. Actually, yes, you are correct. It was super brief and super minute, and it only rubber banded me like 6 feet in actual gameplay. But it was just enough for someone to shoot me as I went around a corner, and I'm like, hold on a minute, I just went around this corner. And that was the only instance in which it happened. That's when I was playing the Interceptor, and I thought it was just because I had pressed a wrong button and like dodged, but my javelin never moved. It was stationary and the scene just changed.
Huh.
And that happened to me once in a stronghold. I don't know if it was when I played with you guys, or it was one of those times when like I managed to get in before you guys and it put me with the group.
Oh, yeah.
Possible.
But it did happen to me once. But it was not a major issue for me. My major bug was the infinite load screen.
Yeah.
I think that was
that 95%.
Just about everyone's major bug.
Mm-hmm. I think the next most prevalent thing that I saw in the demo was, or rather were, audio glitches or graphical glitches.
That was a pretty fierce one.
That didn't really have any huge impact on the way the game played. It's just kind of little minute things that are like quality of life things.
My particular audio glitch was so bad. It progressed
except
in
for those
3 stages where first my gunfire went away, but I could still hear explosions and jetpack noises. Then all the jetpack noises and environmental sounds went away. Then on top of that, all of my PlayStation controls were muted. So when I canceled out of the game, everything was silent. None of my tab over buttons made their little bing sound when I'm going through my PlayStation menus or anything. Like, it silenced my whole system. And I had to reboot in order to, or kill the game in order to get it back. Because as soon as I killed the game, my speakers popped and all my audio was back.
That did happen to me once. And it was in the
It
Stronghold. It didn't really happen to me at any other place. It was just in the Stronghold.
And I had an audio issue, not to that extreme, but the last time we played the Stronghold, my audio was out of sync with the game.
Oh.
Very faintly, but it was, and it also sounded really tinny in my ears.
Yeah, I got some of that too.
But that was the only audio. Like, it was not to the effect where I lost all the sound.
Yeah.
And to be perfectly honest with you, I wasn't sure if you guys hadn't experienced the audio issues, I wouldn't have thought it was the game, because I have been having just general issues with my PlayStation anyway. Like, I'll go to my main menu and everything is like overly bright. Like, there's been a color dodge that's placed on my menu, so all of my icons and everything like look really
that's weird.
Bright and saturated color. It's really weird. But that has nothing to do with Anthem. It's just, something weird going on.
Fastest stuff's all messed up.
Yeah,
basically.
If someone wants to gift her a PS4 Pro, that'd be cool.
I mean, I'm
Oh
not going to
goodness.
say no. Normally I
Anyways,
would, but in this case, I'm not going to say no. But yeah, were there other glitches that you guys
mm,
experienced?
oh, the infinite firing of weapons. So one of the
Yeah.
things that was really weird was that I could see someone or one of y'all pull out a weapon, and I know that after a couple seconds your javelin just sticks it back up if you don't use it. But instead of putting it back up, the javelin or the other javelin that you're looking at would show their arm at their side, but the gun is still in their hand and pointing down.
Yeah.
And it was weird because then if the other javelin started shooting, nothing happened. The gun just looked like it was by their side, and all of a sudden you're looking across the way and enemies are dying out of nowhere. It's like, okay, so you're actually shooting at those enemies and it doesn't show it, even though the javelin's looking at them. And the other weird thing, I guess, from the other perspective would be I put my gun up, and according to Scorch's screen, it is just firing out my hip
Yeah.
and strafing across the ground as I run around. So that's a little bit odd
You
and
were
not really
indeed
expect
hip firing a
spraying the
chain
ground.
gun.
Yeah, infinitely spraying it on the ground. And I guess another thing with the infinite would have been the sparkler syndrome.
Oh
So
yeah.
the little damage thing you get whenever someone hits you and you get sparks on your javelin, they basically would eternally get stuck in that. It looks like sparklers are just pouring out of the top of your javelin constantly while you're standing there. So that was a little bit of a couple visual faux pas in there that obviously
Yeah.
they had a couple things to work out.
And the other glitch that I can, or bug I can recall is the game rewards not coming to you at the end of the match.
Ah, yes. There was also the thing about you guys, and it didn't really happen to me. It happened to you guys, Vast in particular, where when you leveled up to the point where you could unlock the next javelin in the demo,
Oh
the
yeah.
token was not received, and
Oh
you
yeah.
couldn't unlock it.
Now, I also want to partially attribute that when I did level up to the level in which I could do that, the game froze on me anyways in the
Uh-huh.
95%.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that 95% and then come back didn't quite refresh everything. But oddly enough, to Vast's discovery, we were able to unlock all the javelins the following day when we came back and started playing again. So they might have
Yeah.
tweaked something and just said, "Oh, forget it. Give everybody all the javelins. Who cares?"
They
Well, that
actually
was yeah.
released
Go ahead.
they actually released all of the javelins as a thank you for people that played the demo. They had an official release
Ah,
that
I don't
said
know. That one seemed a little too coincidental with, "I can't unlock the javelins. Quick, give them all to everybody."
give them all. Yeah. I mean, they gave me so many tokens that I had one extra after I unlocked all four javelins, which was kind of
Yeah,
strange.
I thought that was kind of weird. No, I was in the same boat. Extra tokens. Showering of tokens.
I mean,
Make sure they can unlock everything.
it's not a bad thing, and I'm sure people
No.
are scrambling at the idea that they gave you one extra token because they're working on another javelin or something like that
Oh my
that they
god!
haven't showed. But
No, they're very highly likely not doing that. They need a game that works first before they can worry about inputting another
yeah,
javelin.
everything in time, everything in time. But as far as glitches go, that is it. I mean, it sounds like a lot, and it
For the
kind of
majors.
was a lot.
You had some people that obviously like, oh, I never got a code to begin with. Yeah, that's a pretty big problem, but I don't know if I'd call that an in-game glitch per se.
Yeah.
It's more like a host glitch, trying to give codes to people that did not immediately pre-order the game. So, well, I mean, what do you expect? You got a friend code that didn't work.
Yeah.
Go pre-order the game.
Now,
Yeah.
Arcadius, you mentioned something that you found on the internet about that 95% loading problem.
Oh yes. So there was a Redditor whose name I currently do not have in front of me. Started with a C, but he did a similar test to Anthem, and the first game he performed this test to of, I mean, I'm not going to go into the weeds of exactly what the test entailed, but it's basically a backdoor behind-the-scenes test that is done while the game is running that analyzes the data packets of the game going back and forth. Now, this individual first analyzed No Man's Sky using this method of packet analysis, and that's how he was able to openly determine that the game had no multiplayer because the packet information was not indicative of host connection with other IP addresses and so on and so forth. Now, he ran the exact same test on Anthem, and it was the absolute reverse, where not only was the game trying to recover itself when it lost connection to the host server, it had so many packet requests that it essentially was DDoSing itself. And that might be a hypothesis as to why the game got stuck on the 95% or would freak out whenever you tried to load back in because it was trying so hard to get you back in the game that it froze itself.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a cool idea. And it might be true.
Good theory.
But
Good theory. It makes sense. The pieces are there.
Yeah. That's a hell of a thing, though.
Yeah, but that also kind of gives me the reassurance that it is on the forefront of their design of this game to ensure at all times the player has the best connectivity and reconnectivity should something go wrong. They just went a little overboard with it.
That's true. If it actually ends up working, it's probably going to be the most robust connection solution out there right now.
And only having to connect to 4 people at a time will definitely strengthen that connection, with the new added exception that there's going to add a area in Fort Tarsis that is remnant of Destiny, of a like hub where you can go and like chill with other people online, I guess. I'm not sure how that interaction is going to work or play out, but apparently that's going to be a thing. Yeah, apparently that is going to be a thing because a lot of people were requesting it, and BioWare's like, sure, we'll add it. We'll try to make sure we, incorporate it. I highly doubt it'll be there at launch, so no one complain about it if it isn't. It was literally a fan request thing that just happened within this demo weekend, so no complaints.
But speaking of that, that is that example and some of the other outreach and transparency that BioWare is kind of surrounding themselves with Anthem is one of the reasons why I'm not as pitchforky about
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Pitchforky.
that are going on or surrounding this demo. I do think that how do I say this? Like reading through all of the information that they provided to the public about the testing, the the connectivity issues that they were having. Like they stated, this is something that we saw in testing, and we thought that we had fixed it. But once we got it out live into the the public test area, it became that's when we found out that the glitch was even bigger than we thought. So it's that kind of stuff that made me less upset because
it's not a blatant cover-up like, oh, we've just never seen this before.
Yeah.
Or just radio silence, dead air. You know?
Or just go for straight radio silence. That one too.
Yeah. Overall, I think they did a pretty good job with talking to the players and telling them, look, this is what we're experiencing.
Working it out.
This is what you're saying. And it's definitely reassuring because I know certain companies do not do that.
Yes.
Indeed.
And for those people who are looking for compensation, people who participated in the VIP demo are receiving a vinyl, which I have a feeling that we were supposed to get something like this anyway, because usually you get some kind of sticker or trophy.
Beta testers in general or anything like that usually get some little skin or thank you something.
But they did announce that they are giving a vinyl set to all participants in the VIP demo. So you'll have a vinyl and actually not an attractive vinyl. We'll get to that later. For all 4 of your javelins.
I mean, if you want to
so that was
look,
nice.
It's free.
If you want to look like you're a corporate shill for Nvidia, then
Then yes, it's the skin for you.
So
But,
shall we move on? I think we've talked
Yes.
about that enough.
Our disclaimer is out of the way.
Yeah.
Let's get to the good
absolutely.
stuff.
Yeah. So what do we want to talk about first? Do we want to talk about
Well, let's.
what? Go for it. Go for it.
On the
I want to
docket.
start with the gameplay, and by gameplay I mean we're covering the ways that you're going to be playing this game. More specifically, let's start with the javelins. They're the biggest part of this, the biggest part of Anthem, and to me they are some of the most fun gameplay mechanics I've played in a while.
Yeah.
They
Oh.
definitely had a certain level of, I don't want to say added complexity, but the level of verticality in the game, combined with all the things you can do, literally maxes out every functionality on the controller. It's not like there's a few spares or a few nonchalant buttons that aren't necessary for like all the normal. Like every button is used.
Yeah.
Minus, I'm pretty sure even people will consider the emotes. So when they get done poning somebody, they'll boom emote, and then off they go doing something else. But the I don't know. I haven't played a game with this much verticality where I've had to got used to the controls.
Yeah.
Like this, where I mean, it's nice to have these extra aftermarket paddles to match
Yeah.
stuff too.
And as a matter of fact, there is a javelin that is built around being in the sky, built around
Yeah.
the verticality of the world.
Yeah.
And
So let's talk
that's how
about
much they
them
want
really
safety.
quickly. So
Okay.
there are 4 javelins. I'm sure this is information that everyone knows, but we're going to recap it for you really quickly. The first is the Ranger, your all-rounder. The second is the Colossus. That's your big, brutal tank, which I actually kind of liked a lot. The
Yeah.
third is the Storm, which is the one Scorch was just referencing.
Good
It's
game,
your
good game,
long-range
good game,
damage
good game.
dealer. Long-range damage dealer, your glass cannon, and my gosh, does it have a powerful boom. And the last is my personal favorite, the Interceptor, which is your cyborg ninja kind of
It's
In and out.
javelin.
It's the in and out interceptor.
it's Mecha Genji like version 2.
Yeah.
If you want to
It's
draw a
kinda hot.
parallel.
Well, oh man. Okay, so I don't know if I wanted to get into this here, but this is actually not going to cost me anything to say. But in playing Anthem and getting inside of the javelins, and with how tightly controlled the movement system is, like it is incredibly easy to move, to go from running to flying to combat to special to back into the air, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
While playing that, I thought to myself, man, if I wish Warframe's controls were this tight.
They're taking notes. Don't worry.
Well, you know,
Oh no, I know they're
think-
taking notes.
I
And I
think
have
that-
I have always thought that, but I've never had anything to compare it to.
Yeah.
Now you do.
And now I do.
I think that Digital Extremes will get there. Because they're pretty good on iteration. But this isn't
They are.
This isn't Digital Extremes podcast. This is BioWare and Anthem.
Well, I just wanted to go ahead and say that because I know there's a lot of
Throw it out
comparisons
there.
going on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't actually compare it to Warframe, but in saying that, again, it was much tighter controls than what you had in like Mass Effect Andromeda, which is my only BioWare reference point. So if I mention that over and over again, it's because it's the only other BioWare game I've ever played.
Not the perfect reference point, but it's something.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I guess I'm just getting that the controls on the Javelin are great. The movement system is a lot of fun. It feels unique and individual between each Javelin, but it's
they're definitely
just
all
as
different,
easy
all
to
right.
move it. Yeah, but it's just as easy to get into and learn and do, I think.
Yeah.
And if you're someone who likes movement in games, then you are going to really enjoy how it feels to be in a javelin.
Gonna be in hog heaven, as they say.
Oh yeah. Oh, I almost fell off the level. Let's patch that up.
Sounds like you need some dirt.
Believe me, I got me some dirt. Oops. So
what were your impressions? We played. I think Scorch was the only person who didn't play all of the javelins.
Yeah, I did not play Colossus.
You should.
I will. All right, that was a demo. Okay.
Come, Darren.
Yeah, really. I spent some time in the Ranger and the lion's share of my time in the Storm. And then towards the end, I played a little bit of Interceptor. That's not to say that I won't also enjoy the Colossus. It's just something that I didn't pick. You know, if I had more time, I would have. And I will, eventually. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I was going to say that they give you the Ranger first in the demo.
Yep, so everyone got to play that one.
It's like a good balance, all-rounder kind of thing. You can mod it for high damage. It's your good jack of all trades kind of javelin.
A lot of boost abilities and protection abilities.
Yeah. And usually in games, your first unlock, whatever it is, will be immediately thrown out upon acquisition of the next unlock. You know what I mean? But I feel like the Ranger is going to have a lasting spot in my roster. It's not one of those things that I'm gonna toss out just because I have the next shiny thing. It's something that actually has utility in the game. And that's something that's really cool.
Yep.
I would agree.
I also really enjoyed. I think we had one match where we had all 4 of the javelin types in game. But for the most part, it's the 3 of us, and then of course, every once in a while we'd have another Storm because let's be honest, the Storm has a cape and it looks super cool when you're playing.
And it can fly.
And it can fly
for a really long time. Yeah.
I say all that to bring up the point that the combo potential in the game is really cool, and I really like that.
So will you go in a little bit to what a combo is in Anthem and how you pull them off?
I will. So I probably shouldn't because I get so excited that I'm not able to articulate correctly. I really enjoyed this, guys. But then your javelin, I'll speak specifically to the Interceptor because that's the one outside of the ranges that I spent the most time on. And you have two additional abilities on your javelin. One is like a grenade, and then one is like a secondary. And for the Interceptor, they were glaives. So you had like one high damage grenade glaive that went through armor, and then you had like a frost glaive or an acidy spit glaive. I think it was called venom. And there's another one that I can't think of right now. And so if you like froze your enemy and then did a grenade, you do a combo on it. Or if you did a venom burn on them and then did a melee attack, you'd do a combo, you do extra damage. And so that's just within your javelin. However, when you're playing with other players, you have the ability to combine your abilities and do like a group combo, a team combo, and increase the damage that way. And another thing that the Interceptor, one of their perks or class, class bonuses, is when you're doing melee attacks, if the enemy is affected by has a status effect, and you do a melee damage, you will pick up that status aura for your melee attacks. So if a storm frozen enemy from a distance and I went up and did a melee attack, I'd pick up a frost aura and I would carry that frost aura to the next enemy that I attack. And then I could freeze them.
Which is pretty handy.
Oh yeah,
and that
really
pretty
handy.
much sets up exactly where the storm is meant to elemental setup, and the interceptor can essentially elemental carry, and the Colossus, if you look at all of the stats on its weapons, it is explosion combo, explosion combo, explosion combo. So literally it's meant to just have the final say on an enemy and just turn it to bits.
Yeah.
Or set off the combo chain with an explosion.
I think we should say that the Ranger can do that too. It's
Yes, I've
ultimate.
I forgot to mention that.
It's ultimate. All those little tiny rockets, the little seeker rockets, are very potent and can do that as well.
I would say that the difference is the Colossus is probably more enemy direct, and the Ranger's more enemy indirect. Because you can target so many enemies with the Ranger.
That's true.
Yeah.
Unlike the Colossus.
It's almost like CC versus well, not CC because you're not like doing a status effect with him right now that we know of. He could have status effect.
Maybe
grenades and secondaries.
Yeah.
The Ranger did have a lot of grenade choices, so I would say that there's probably going to be a lot in the future.
The other thing that I really enjoyed about the javelins is that even just a really quick like run through with the Colossus and everything like that, you feel powerful in your suit, no matter which suit that you're using.
Yeah.
And the visual cues for when you're actually using your powers feel so amazing. And they look so cool. They look so cool that you can't even really see what's happening.
Somebody
You're
likes
just
the
blinded by
Somebody
the
likes
awesome on the
Looney
screen.
Tunes slam, don't you?
Just a little bit.
Smack!
Or that gigantic like cannon that I'm just using to nail, heavies.
Yeah.
Or when you're raining down every element as the as a storm. Or when you're Iron Man. Like it's cool.
If you were not
Indeed.
floating a mile above all of the action as the storm and had to use your ultimate right where you stood, you would not be able to target a single goddamn thing because it is huge. It's giant, it's flashy, it's amazing. It's one of the best things I've seen ever. And
So
oh my gosh.
So on that segue, sound, weapon sounds. Thoughts on the weapon sounds? I've got my thoughts, but I'm curious. Tell me what you think.
Well, I think as far as sounds go, because like weapon feel is different for me than the weapon sound. They're contributing factors, but the sound, I feel like they could punch it up a little bit more. Not necessarily the ultimates, but like when you're using your primary or secondary weapons. And what I mean by that is that it doesn't... how do I put this? The sound of the weapon that you're using doesn't necessarily convey the strength of the damage that you do. In a way, am I making sense?
Okay. Yeah, I do. I mean, I do understand what you're trying
You
to say.
make sense, but I kind of think they all sound super powerful. In fact, I think it's kind of the opposite problem. I actually kind of thought that all of them sounded too powerful for their given size and what they could do.
Too powerful. Listen, the
They
only thing...
sounded too powerful compared to what they could do.
So what? You
Maybe
think they
that
were
was just some of the
wimpy
ones that I
compared
used.
to their sound?
Yes, the sounds made them sound like unbelievably powerful weapons. And then all of a sudden you're like, hold on, I just took this extremely powerful sounding DMR and emptied 2 magazines into this guy.
Well, I was
Like,
going to say
that-
that the DMR itself was kind of disappointing for the amount of damage that it spit out. It was kind of low. But that has more to do with me for like the balancing of the overall game rather than anything else.
Well, I could still. I'm really just kind of focused more on, I guess, the sound to strength ratio, but it's really almost a pretty big preference thing. But I do like the sounds; they were crisp and sharp. And when you're talking about firearms, they need to be crisp and sharp and not sloppy and soft, like some games have them. So I'm very happy they have very poignant, sounds that go with each trigger pull. And there is still variation depending on your weapon type. So I'm a fan of their weapon sounds. They nailed it.
I think the only one that they like specifically nailed for me was that damn howitzer sniper rifle that you could charge up.
Oh my god.
The Devastator.
Do you recall what the actual name of it? Was it called the Devastator?
It was the Devastator. So
true to its name.
You charged up and you fired it, and
I don't think fire is the appropriate word. I think you could just say launched it. Like you took what was in the barrel and you launched it Mach 5 out the end, and it nailed whatever you shot to the wall. Or pink misted it, one of the two. There really wasn't much in between.
Let's say that it's a weapon that you do not use on a peon, okay? That's like way overkill.
No,
like
that's definitely
you have a heavy and you have problems and you need him to go away. This is the kind of thing.
Yep.
So we switched over to weapons. They had the standard weapon types, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are gonna need to help me with this because guns, right? So they had shotguns, pistols, heavy pistols, snipers, marksman rifles, assault rifles.
They also had the
grenade
heavy
launcher.
Yep, the grenade launcher and the heavy chain gun, which I will say the grenade launcher and the heavy chain gun are Colossus-only weapons.
Yeah.
Is that
And I was actually quite surprised. So if you I read the little, not the lore per se, but the sort of weapon stats configurations, and almost all the javelins can use almost all weapons, except the Colossus can't use heavy pistols for some reason, and can use all other weapons. Whereas the other javelins can't use the two big primary ones that the Colossus can, but they can use all the other weapons. So I thought it was going to be a little narrower than that in terms of the weapons you could use, but I'm actually surprised at the weapon diversity they gave the suits.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that at all.
No, like I think it'd be awkward and cool as hell at the same time for a Colossus to use a sniper.
Like an interceptor to lug around a grenade launcher.
Merit, all right, everyone needs a long-range weapon.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
They allow you to diversify your loadout tremendously. So I'm a fan of that.
And I will say that if you chose, they have LMGs also. If you chose to run a pistol, it's still very much viable. You can still put people down with pistols. It's not like this little secondary thing that you pull out in an emergency or anything like that because you're drained of ammo on something else. You can use it as primary, and it'll work perfectly well.
Yeah, I ran with pistols, and they were a lot of fun. The shotgun, I was both underwhelmed and whelmed with. Like there were some enemies just ran up on them with the shotgun, and it was like doom doom doom. All right, this is what a shotgun should do. And I don't know if it's because I switched to a different shotgun type, and then I used a shotgun again, and I just didn't like the feel of it. So maybe that's where my ambivalence towards that weapons class is.
Yeah, shotguns are kind of tricky in games anyway. They're really hard to balance correctly, what with how you have to work like the pellet spray, because you'd have to judge every single pellet on its own rather than judging the power of a shotgun per shell. And that makes it really hard, because if you tweak one or two numbers or anything like that, like if you give it 2 more damage per pellet and it shoots out 20 or 30 pellets,
It
That's like
compounds quick.
60 damage extra. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of fine tuning to actually get a shotgun where you want it. That being said, I had a lot of fun with the burst fire shotgun that shot 2 shells at one
The double
time.
tap one?
Yeah.
That's the one I used when I ran the interceptor.
Yeah,
Saved
me
my
too.
bacon.
It could put people down.
Or bugs.
Or bugs.
Tons of bugs.
Yes.
All right. So I want to take no, actually, I saved that for customization. All right. So let's talk about the mission structure. In the demo, they let you have the free roam area that was most immediate to Port Tarsus. There was one game mission that happened. I think they said like early game, but like not at the beginning. And then they had a stronghold for us to use, as well as like different world events that occurred in game. So let's talk about the mission.
The strongholds are going to be legit, and I think they're going to be super hard later on. I think they're going to be. It's going to be like, if I have to try and compare it to something, it's going to be like the raids that you had in Destiny, only you only have 4 people, and you got to be on point to get stuff done. Otherwise, you're going to totally eat it.
Well, not only that, but I feel like you would have to have gear that is up to snuff if you wanted to run a good, like wanted to have a good stronghold run. Because at one point, we finished the story missions that they gave us, which were only like 3 missions around this Arcanist called Matthias, who splits himself into 3 different personalities with 3 different bodies. It was kind of cool.
What a goober.
But we had finished those story missions, and then we decided, hey, let's go run the stronghold with the gear that we had from running 3 missions. And we got mopped with the first mob.
It was bad. It was real
really bad. We had to go. We had
Colossus
to run around.
felt like tissue paper.
Yeah. We had to run around and get better gear before we could even attempt to like work on that stronghold again. But once we did get into the stronghold, once we were punching at our weight class, it felt really good, and you felt really accomplished when you were able to progress in that particular game mode.
It wasn't crazy OP mode like it was later on when the gear got better, but it was challenging. You had to like think about it. You couldn't just waltz in there, point the gun, spray it, and go home. You know, that it didn't work like that.
But so they set the difficulty up. The way that they set the difficulty up makes me think of Diablo and how insanely ridiculously OP you can make yourself in Diablo, where you're just mopping up like 30 or 40 dudes in one swing, you know?
Yeah.
And
fire the lasers.
That would be really cool. That would be really cool in Anthem, you know?
Well, let's talk about the difficulty real quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, the scale, the difficulty is insane. So it reminds me of lasso mode in Halo, only without all of that. They don't really take or instill all of the status effects like scarcities of ammos. They just make the enemies near impossible to kill.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? The highest tier had a 3,500% enemy health boost.
Yeah, something like
they
that.
They don't die. Like, oh my word. And I'm sure damage modifiers on their end come with that. That's not free.
So, in relation to the difficulty of the game and how it ramps up, we got a Twitter response from one nefarious Kage, he is called, at DavisLG86, who said, a lot of the shielded enemies were spongy, at least their shield was, and it regened way too quickly, like in the blink of an eye. And
I would beg to differ. And
I don't really see...
I guess I'll let you go.
Yeah, sorry. I can kind of see where he's coming from, in that the shields took a lot sometimes to whittle down, at least if you were using your weapons and not your abilities, because your abilities are really where your damage comes from, I think.
Yeah.
Um, on some of the harder difficulties, I can totally understand being frustrated at not being able to kill a dude before his shield comes back, or letting up
But
on the
there's a
pressure
reason
because you're
for
out
that
of
though, and
ammo. And I think this is what you're about to say, is that kind of thing encourages teamwork.
there we go. There we go.
You
So even as an
having
interceptor, I could still kill an elite by myself, but I had to be on him and not stop and run away. If
Yeah,
I stopped and ran away or took a break, no, no. So you can physically do it if you're by yourself, but it is painfully obvious that they want you to do it as a team and not by yourself.
yeah.
So whoever that was that made that comment, quit playing by yourself. Party up.
Or he was just playing with randoms that he wasn't communicating with. And
Also a possibility.
and that will really have a toll on what you can do in the game, I think. I think
Oh
this
yeah.
game is going to be very communication driven.
And that's why they
I
got a heavy matchmaking on there, because they know that. And they got to make sure you're all partied up and paired up.
Yeah?
I feel like this game is going to be the opposite of Destiny, where um the team, the co-op based parts of the game um aren't there as a barrier to get you from content because there's not a lot there. It's actually going to be necessary to have people to play with to get through the content, especially once you get to the higher tier challenges like the
Yeah.
strongholds, and then whatever they have planned for endgame.
I
Yeah?
mean, it's community driven. It's literally trying to say, hey, everyone needs to work band together to do this. You're all in the same boat. You all have javelins. You're all getting, dunked on. So you've got to do something about it.
Yeah? And I think that drives the core culture of the way that they want that game to be, because their slogan for the game is stronger together. Your character says that in cutscenes and
Yeah.
stuff. So,
It's not lone wolves always win.
yeah. And I think that's cool that they back up what they're like, the message that they're trying to send with the gameplay that they have, you know?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Totally agree.
Oh, it's gonna be
Totally
so good, you
agree.
guys.
I'm excited.
Let's see.
Next thing here. What do we got?
Talking about. Let's hit world events really quickly.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I we really shouldn't continue to compare it to Destiny, because like
There's a lot of wrongs with that.
these two, they're completely different beasts, I think. And the only reason why I keep comparing it to Destiny is because I don't want to say that it's like the closest thing to it, because it definitely is not, but it's something that everybody can understand because they've all played it at least a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you.
And yeah, I would say that the world events function a lot like the world events in Destiny, where they show up not necessarily on a timer or anything like that, but in a shared world where everybody can uh, have a go at completing it together. And they are, at least the way that they speak about it, they are uh, relatively random within the game world, and vary on difficulty, from things that you can mop up as a single player to things that you absolutely cannot do unless you have four people communicating on. And if you actually do like finish off those higher difficulty world events, then you get rewarded with better gear than you would if it's just like a small mop up, like, oh, three guys spawned here, go kill them, you know.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it seemed like there were multiple events that occurred in locations. So we would be at, say, the Necropolis, which is a place that we went for the mission that they sent us to. We went back for a world event. There were completely different enemies that were in there with completely different objectives for us to do. And then we ran it, the next day. Another world event spawned inside of the Necropolis, and it was different enemies, a different objective type. So it seems like there are multiple, I can't say how different it will be, from when the game launches, but it seems like they have at least 3 or 4 different world events that'll take place in these locations.
Yeah. And there were some things
which is
that
refreshing.
were specifically labeled as world events, and then there were other things that seemed like it was just an opportunity to kill a whole bunch of spawning guys that I don't think you got as rewarded. Like for world events, you got a specific chest that spawned that has all your stuff in it.
Yep.
But where all the dudes spawn and stuff like that, you get your reward from killing off the elites that show up later on. Yeah, kind of. And that kind of variation, I think, is something that we can look forward to in probably more frequency when the game releases.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, demo.
Yeah,
Yep.
Demo. There's no need to be salty. It's a demo.
So that's most of the core gameplay mechanics that we were able to experience, but it's not the only game that's the only mechanics that's in the game, and I'm speaking specifically to the customization, because that's its own mini game in itself.
Truth.
And
Gotta look fly.
If you enjoy the cosmetic aspects of this game, or of any game, if you're coming from Warframe and you're a fashion framer, if you are someone
framer.
if you're someone who plays MMOs and enjoy the different events where you can go get that new swag gear and layer on those chains, I think that Anthem has something for you.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the customization for your javelins.
Oh yeah. So we have to immediately.
That's where we spent the most of the time.
Yeah, that or on the 95% load screen, but we're not going back to that.
Pretty much, yeah. The two places of most time spent. Stuck on a load, waiting on others to load in because they're spoofing up their.
Yeah, they haven't,
gear.
shined their shoes well enough. I think we should, out of the gate, mention that any kind of appearance-altering thing that you do to your javelin is purely cosmetic and does not have any effect on your playstyle or anything like that.
Yep.
There are no game characteristics that are tied to cosmetics. So you can look any way you want, and it's not going to change what you have to do. And I think that's great, coming from a very long line of MMOs that I've played, and other things like Destiny, where a gear score is tied to specific armor pieces, and it makes everybody look one way. This game is or the Division. I mean, unless you rock red skinny jeans versus blue skinny jeans in the Division, but it's going
and some of us did.
Better than others.
Anecdote.
It's going to make everybody look diverse. It's going to make everybody look exactly the way they want to, and they give you the tools to be able to do that, which is really, really cool. I haven't seen a customization that robust in a very long time, and it's very exciting to see.
So let's talk about some of those ways that diversity that they give you. The biggest one for me is that they give you an actual color wheel, which is I'm trying to think back to some of the games that I played, and I was like, I don't even think you get a color wheel in like Final Fantasy uh, 14. I think it's just like the big color map or
Tiles,
gradient color.
the
Well,
tiles.
yeah, but this is the actual wheel, and so I was like impressed.
Yeah.
The full spectrum.
Mm-hmm. Or as near a full spectrum as they can actually give you.
Yes.
It's great. You can make your own custom colors.
And then save them.
And
then
save them.
you can see which color values that you're pulling from the areas, and then write them down, and then create recipes, and then give them to me, and so I can judge you.
Yeah, just so y'all know, if you need to get critiqued by Vast Empire, she's more than willing to help you out as a fashionista. Like
For free.
She has the ability to Joan Rivers you if you want it. Or if you don't want it.
I am invested. I'm invested in you and what you're doing, and I'm not afraid to give you some advice if you need it. And if you don't, I'll let you know that you're doing a good job, my friend.
Oh my god.
You're looking fly. So on top of the color wheel, they also give you like just a bunch of options out the gate. Like if the demo is the only thing that we receive, minus whatever microtransaction, shenanigans that they'll be providing for the cosmetics. But if this is what we're going to have, it is a lot of options for your average gamer.
Even if that's all they offer.
Yeah, like it is amazing because you don't just have the ability to change your color. You can also do change your wear state, which is where you decide the weathering of your javelin. So do you want your material to look brand new, or do you want it to look weathered? Do you want it to look old?
I think that to me is what sends it over the top. The fact that they methodically went through every armor piece and gauged a wear state on it shows a lot of attention to detail.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's cool and all, and you can flip through it, and you can be like, yeah, I can make my armor look any way I want to. But you're really only ever gonna rock clean because you gotta have those colors perfect.
Got to be clean.
Know what I'm saying? Not mean.
I know. And then on top of that, they have the different materials. So do you want your storm to look like it's just popped out with like the fine leather goods store, or do you want to have like a heavy material, or do you want it to have plastic? Do you want it to have metals? They've got you covered, and it looks different on your javelin. You can actually tell the difference in most of the materials that are used for your javelin, and I think that's something special.
And that's just the sample set. That's demo set.
Yeah.
It's not even the full gambit of what they'll have to offer.
I think Vast accurately put it when I was running around with my interceptor. She called me a Ferrero Rocher. And I had indeed
sparkly.
I had indeed colored my interceptor all entirely gold. And it was indeed the same color as a Ferrero Rocher.
Rocking the deadly nugget.
The deadly nugget.
If you can dream it, you can become it. And that's basically what they're doing with the javelin. I do have a little bit of a critique here, though, because they do have the vinyl system. And if you're not familiar with that, the vinyls are like basically a sticker that you would put on a hot rod.
Yeah, it's it's what they're calling a skin. Like if you want like
they're a little lazy with the colors, and
colors.
you just kind of want to slap something on and maybe tone some undercolors to make it match the skins.
If you want to look like you're about to hit the Indy 500, then you slap on the vinyl. with sponsors. I say that jokingly and lovingly because I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of the colorings for those things.
I mean,
So
but there was only like 4.
Yeah.
There wasn't like very many of them.
Well,
And
so here's the thing.
This is the demo. There will be more in the future.
There will be more in the future. Where I was going with this is that I'm really curious to see what the full range of the vinyls will be, and if there will ever be a color customization for those vinyls. Because some of them weren't necessarily bad, it's just, I wouldn't have chose those colors because I have taste. So...
Toot your own horn there a little bit.
No, but seriously, I'm just really curious if we're going to be able to color be able to change the color values on the vinyls. I'm curious about that.
Honestly, I don't think so. It's just going to be...
I don't think so either.
That's the
I think
vinyl.
There's so much focus on other customizations. The vinyls will be treated like a highlight.
Yeah.
So if you want to complement a certain color scheme because you like the photo that's across a certain vinyl, then you'll just apply it, and you won't really go beyond that.
Yeah.
Well, BioWare,
it won't be more complicated than that.
Go ahead and just bring me in as a volunteer value person. I don't know. I'll come up with the title. We'll talk. Because some of those things, they really do look like something that you put on the back of a Honda Civic. But on top of that, they also have different armor pieces that you can use to use with your javelin. So within the demo, they started you out with, like, I think 100
coin.
What were they called?
They were just called coins.
Which was your in-game currency that you will earn during missions, and that you can use to purchase different armor pieces or different cosmetic pieces that are in the game. They also had a currency called shards, which I believe will be the how do we refer to that?
I think it's
real
going
money
to
currency?
be the paid currency.
Thank you. I couldn't think. The paid currency. They did not have that value set for us to see. Everything in the demo costs 25 coin to purchase, which we believe will not be the case once the game is released.
Yes.
But with that 25 coin, and you were able to, like, unlock a different helmet, different arms, different chest pieces, and different leg pieces for all the different javelins. So then they also have that to allow you to customize yourself even more.
And I think with the diversity of looks that they're going to have in this game, I'm pretty certain that some skins you'll obviously only be able to buy, but some skins I think you will only be able to earn. And if I think they can keep some really cool skins and make the exclusivity an earnable only skin, I think it gives credence to a little bit of the prestige that games don't have anymore, like the older Halo games, where if you saw someone in the friggin' Samurai Genji outfit, you knew they were hardcore, and there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's like that kind of knowledge, like in the back of your mind, you're like, that guy, I know what he did to earn that, and mad props.
Yeah.
It's unspoken kudos, I guess you could call it. And for a lot of players, that's pretty gratifying.
Yeah.
To just show up and everyone like stops, they would turn their javelins and just look at you like, yeah, that's right. Look at my sick kicks.
It is the green Halo visor. It's the protector armor.
Oof.
It's that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That kind of
where
stuff.
you see a guy and you know this
You're
dude's
like,
about to wipe the floor with us,
all of us
because
there is nowhere to run.
Yeah, exactly. He has done it all. Like, if that guy in the green visor gets to that fucking ghost, you can kiss your ass goodbye. Because you're going to be smeared across his headlights and also the canyon wall more times than you can count.
If you let the protector guy grab any UNC weapon, you're going to die. Like, if he gets in a Goss Hog, that's all she wrote.
Yeah. And it's that kind of stuff that we really look forward to. You know what I mean? Like, if you have to
it's anxiety and giddy at the same time.
If you kill 100,000 scars to get this one particular vinyl, and you rock that vinyl, people will give you respect. It's that kind of thing. You want that.
Respect,
you know what I mean?
Respect.
Game respect.
Please don't confuse this with real respect, people. Game respect. Gamer respect.
Yeah. But it's going to be great.
Props.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, there is one more way that they allow you to customize your javelin and make it a little bit different to anyone else's that you'll see, and that has to do with the modification system for the javelin. So we talked about it a little earlier when I was very ham-fistedly talking about how you can do combos with your interceptor. Well, within your two, I guess, ability slots, you have the option to change those around to fit your playstyle. So for the storm, you could have like an arc strike. Was it? No, a lightning strike. What was it called?
Well, if you're talking about your abilities, you get two abilities, and they can either set up combos or detonate combos. And as far as the storm goes, they're all going to be elemental. So you are going to have abilities that play towards fire or lightning or ice. Or, shit like that. And then for like more interceptor specific ones, you're going to have a lot of acid, which damages shields and armored enemies at a higher rate. Is that what we were going for?
Yes, that was what we were going for. I was sitting here trying to remember what you had for the Ranger, because I know you had your grenade. You had 2 grenades with him.
You had a grenade and you had like a wrist rocket or a laser beam or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
You could choose a laser. I never actually used the laser because I was too infatuated with the railgun on the Colossus. But,
I mean,
yeah.
So
it's pretty good. It's pretty good, but like it's not like a storm floating around in the sky good. You know what I mean? That's just, personal preference.
Mm-hmm. And what do they have for the Colossus again?
Dude, you can
BFGs.
have an enemy be as far... you can have an enemy be so far away that they're literally the size of the dot cursor, and you could still hit them with your wrist-mounted railgun that you had.
Mm-hmm.
That pretty much like... The Colossus being a lot of heavy-duty, inaccurate, up-close weapons, that is the one item you could put on it that it was bona fide long distance. Didn't need a sniper rifle because it did half the damage of that Devastator that we were talking about earlier.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that it did half of a Devastator shot worth of damage, and it, regened in like 7 seconds or 10 seconds, yeah, it was just fine. The shoulder mounts, they had 2 really different shoulder mounts. So they had the standard mortar one that you could lob. Then they had another one that was an electricity-based, like, radar thing. Not like a radar, but it looked like a radome. And when you activated it, it didn't shoot anything. But any enemy within, like, a 30-meter distance in front of you would just get constantly shocked by this thing as the timer ran down. Ooh, nice setup. So it basically would just constantly shock people, and the cool part was you could do it over your shoulder while your shield was deployed. So you could just walk around with your shield open and be attacking enemies at the same time.
Yes.
I think you could also have fired your mortar. Yeah, you need to get that dog off. I think you could fire the mortar too with the shield up, but I never tried it in sync. But I do know you, alas, could not revive people with the shield deployed. That's kind of a bummer. I was looking forward to that.
I think we should note that only a Colossus gets a physical shield, and that comes at the cost of dodging. You can't dodge in a Colossus.
Too fat and big to dodge. So if he can't dodge, he's got to bring the dodge to him. And that is getting a big old shield. And I still don't know how that thing the size of an oversized large pizza wedge can fold out to something like a queen size. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure out the game physics on that one, and they're hiding it pretty staunchly in there. But yeah, and it will take a fair amount of damage. I mean, I could sustain 3 direct enemy sniper shots and then some, and then it would break. And then it would revive in about 15 to 20 seconds, and it's back to full health again. So none of these things that you use or protect yourself with are gone for very long. I think the cooldowns are such that you need them constantly because the enemies are going to be sitting there dishing out damage constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you, there will always be someone behind you. Doesn't matter how many times you cleared out that passageway or that area, there's always going to be someone behind you.
I feel though that has to do with like which javelin that you pick, because if you play a storm, there ain't going to be shit behind you because you're floating in the sky.
This is true.
If you're playing an interceptor, you are meant to be dashing in and around the bad guys. Yeah. So there are going to be things behind you at all times, and that's something that you're going to have to think about when you play as an interceptor.
Yeah.
And on top of that, your different, I guess your utility or your support
like the passive
ability,
perks?
they have perks within them, and when you equip them, you can, I guess, mix and match all of those modifications to augment whatever playstyle that you're going for. They didn't have very many like high values because we were playing in like uncommon, common, and rare items. But some of the things were like, within the Rangers. I'm so bad at names right now. I can't remember what it's officially called, but when you're within their shield bubble, they had like, plus
Bulwark shield.
5%. Thank you. The Bulwark shield. They had like plus 5 to movement speed within the shield, or plus 20% damage when you fire within the shield. So all the different augments, all the augments had those different perks on there. So it'll be really interesting to see the full range of what those perks will be and how they will help you, because in the different
Yes.
Oh no, I'm losing it. The things that we watched, the different live streams that that the Anthem team put together for us, they talked about how they pick specific components or specific mods for their javelin to help augment the abilities that they wanted to use. So when they get a grenade kill, it'll boost this for them, or if they get like headshots, it'll boost this for them. So.
I'm very looking forward to being able to set up a build in which my storm will never touch the ground again.
It already barely does.
That's true. That's true. So, we haven't mentioned this, but the storm's big thing is being able to be in the sky, and you have a bonus to your shield in the storm if you are in the sky, as well as increased, I want to say heat dispersion, but that's not really how they put it in the game. It takes a lot longer for you to overheat as a storm in the sky than
holy smokes,
than the other three.
Like the Colossus can do a jump and then like he's half depleted.
Yeah, it's like, where's the water at? Let me fly low.
Yeah, it's like I need to fly only under waterfalls.
We'll keep this moving. Real quick, Fort Tarsus. What are your impressions?
I think that when the game comes out, it's going to be much more maze-like than it was.
Yeah.
And
I'm actually quite a fan of how they're going to organize it. And this is the one comparison I'll make to The Division that I did like, which is the base unfolds and evolves with how you progress the storyline. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And I actually really enjoy that. So I think it'll be really interesting, and one of the things that will force you to peruse the city is to see what changed.
Yeah. And not only that, but the people that you talk to in Fort Tarsus, is a really cool draw to go and explore the city. Like, you would never really have to go to the bar in the game at all, but you talk to the bartender about his, like, girl
story,
woes
basically.
and him getting in trouble with the cops all the time and stuff like that. And it
And
makes...
there might be a mission for it. You never know.
That's true.
These people that you're shunning you're gonna have to be scooping them up out of the dirt somewhere along the line.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but that's really cool. That's a nice touch, I think.
Yeah, it makes me feel like they are going to deliver on their like slogan of "Our world, your story." I think is the slogan.
I think so.
I think it's that. It is very close to that. But yeah, where the most of the narrative portion of your game is going to take place inside of Fort Tarsis. That's where you're going to get your missions. That's where you're going to speak to the NPCs. That is where you're going to
Faction clans? That too?
have It
There
looks like
are,
there's going to
yeah.
be factions. And you're going to be also like Arcadius was saying, you're going to make changes within Fort Tarsis. You have a decision to make between your responses to the different NPCs, and maybe even with the with your game choices, and it's just going to determine how people react to you, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that will have more to do with the factions than the story, to be honest. Because the story is kind of a set thing, and they wouldn't want probably the story to segue too much from kind of a core tenet of whatever they're trying to set up and let your faction choices detract from the story, but then again, I could be wrong.
Yeah. I
think
like
that's more of an after effect.
I feel like it would be cool to do it correctly, cough cough, to be able to join a faction and raise your faction standing to unlock faction specific vinyls so that you could rock the faction better. I think that would be cool.
Hell, faction. You could even do it slightly Destiny style and faction-specific weapons.
Yeah, you could do that too.
My my one critique right now is that you move really slow in Fort Tarsis. Like no one walks that slow.
They did
they
that.
are giving you the sprint ability. There's an article that came out today that was one of the biggest gamer woes that was thrown out there, and they heard and they have answered with a sprint ability that your character will be able to do inside Fort Tarsis. So you will never be locked to just waltzing about, even though you might look at stuff, but you're not going to be stuck to it.
Let me tell you, they wanted you to make sure that you saw every texture on everyone's skirt as you pass by. And I saw it, I was impressed, but I had places to go. So
things to do.
Like sitting in front of that forge, looking through all of the minute different colors of blue that you could choose to put on your armor.
I mean, is it going to be sky blue? Is it going to be like baby blue? Is it going to be cornflower blue? Is it going to be Prussian blue? Like, which blue do I choose? I can create it.
Yeah?
Because I have a color wheel.
But to that effect, it was mentioned that the build that was the demo did not have a sprint function, but was added in later builds after the fact. So it was already implemented, but we didn't get that build.
Now, to BioWare's credence, the reason they said they did do that was so that way you're in this overpowered javelin suit all the time. They wanted to create distinction from you not in your suit as a squishy human being to, yes, I'm in my javelin suit, I am OP, get out of my way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So I do understand their, I guess, dynamic difference they wanted to create. But I also understand that, hey, we want to actually play this game, not sit in there and just stare at it. So let's get a move on.
I mean, you could stare at it. The characters
are
gorgeous.
I didn't even need it to be like a sprint function. I just needed it to be faster than what they had set it to, because that was too slow.
It was a waltz.
No one walks that slow. I live in the South, and people in the South don't even walk that slow. Do you understand what I'm saying? We were moving at geriatric speed.
Oh yeah, this is the
walker
Luby's early
drag
bird special
around.
speed.
Like, it was super slow. So them adding the sprint or having already had that feedback from their internal testing or, you know, whatever they were doing is much appreciated. I appreciate it. But it was super slow, y'all. You people who did not play the demo or the VIP demo, you have no idea how super slow that was.
And they made the walk sound so quick. It sounded like he was attempting to walk really, really fast. It was like in Scooby-Doo where they make the run sound but they don't go anywhere. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
The
man.
dude has a stride that's like 6 inches long. It's
A waltz.
ridiculous.
He's waltzing. He's waltzing through the city.
Yes.
Oh, man. All right, guys. My list, which is a beautiful thing, has other items. Were there other things that we wanted to mention here? Positives or things that we were curious about that we got in the demo?
Well,
Let's see here.
I will say that currently, and I don't know how pervasive this is going to be through the official launch of the game, but currently there's quite a bit of negativity circulating the internet about how Anthem is shaping up, and I feel like a lot of that opinion is directed towards how the demo was. And in a way that I don't fault people who think that way, because that's their only grasp of what Anthem is going to be. But in another way, I do not want people to judge Anthem solely based on how the demo has played out.
Yeah. I would agree. There's a lot of butthurt people online over this demo, and it's like, people, it's a demo.
Yeah.
It is not supposed to be a polished or even functioning game. They told us from the very beginning, hey, guys, the demo might not work at all. Like, that was a legitimate statement that they made. It might not work.
Yeah.
But we still had to try. I mean, I don't know, that part of it is just what I don't understand. The level of impatience of people are just like, oh, the game's awful, I can't play it. It's like, well, they told you wouldn't be able to play it. So I don't know what you're complaining about, because they explicitly said this might happen. So, surprise! It happened.
I think my biggest thing is that, yes, the demo was bad. It was, and honestly, a mess in terms of doing what it was supposed to do, which is allow you, the player, to play the game. But when you got into the game itself is a lot of fun. Yeah. And once you got into the game, the glitches, there were very few glitches. And once you got into the game, they gave you a lot to explore and to see and to do and to judge the content on. And actually, this isn't going to take anything out of me to say either. I understand the upset. I understand the outrage. I do think that the demo should have gone much smoother. But at the same time, it's a demo, and so it's there to expose these problems.
Yeah.
And
on purpose.
On purpose.
Let's add that in there, since some people don't know how to make that distinction.
And so I am not concerned, because the major issue was loading into the game. It wasn't a server issue, even though some people received the server message, like the server has reached maximum capacity in the very early stages of it. The BioWare team came back and said, no, it wasn't a server issue. It was an error, a bug that we had seen in earlier builds. We thought we had fixed it on the live service. It turns out that we didn't. If that is the major hurdle for the game, then yeah, they'll have that fixed by launch day and we'll be fine. So that's how I'm looking at it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He's fine.
Now,
I think we're gonna be good here.
That's not to say that the open demo on February 1st is going to be perfect. That's not what we're saying. It's going to have its own set of problems too. We might even see the same problems that are in the VIP demo. As a matter of fact, I'm fairly certain there are going to be similar problems. Probably not to the same extent, but we're going to see it. And people are just going to have to deal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I believe they even went as far as to say that the connectivity issue may not be resolved by the open demo.
They straight up said it.
Yeah.
And
hey guys, we might not have the manpower to fix all these problems.
Not as of now. Though.
As of now, but who knows? Who knows who is crunching right now?
Oh, somebody's life is miserable right now.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there, people. Someone is making this happen for you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let me see, before we get out of here, let me see if I can find this tweet that they sent out of a few of the stats that they collected from...
Oh, I know one of the stats in general, not necessarily specific to what they would have collected, is Anthem was the largest played demo in history.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I think Ben.
I can too, but it officially made those numbers rather than just be like it be hearsay.
Yeah. Let me see. Ben Irvo, don't let me down. Boop. Boop. Ben Irving. We'll see if he has it on his. He answers so many questions, though. Y'all keep talking while I try and find this. I'm sorry.
Okay, no. Let's see. Arcadius, did you have any, after playing, did you have any concerns or new questions about what Anthem has to offer, or did you have any questions that were answered with the demo?
Excluding some of the glitchiness, the design of the mechanics, I was kind of didn't know how they were going to approach that. And like we talked on earlier, the seamlessness with which you can transition and travel, traverse, escape, attack, all that, they created it so however you feel like doing it, it's at your fingertips. You just go do it. So that's pretty pleasing. The only thing that I wasn't sure of was based on the area. So if I have to throw a concern out, is based on the area that we traversed. When you pulled up the world map, we actually traversed a pretty substantial part of that world map. And I'm hoping they held back some on how much we could explore in the demos, and it doesn't turn into one of those, oh, you actually explored a third of the explorable game. And just that would be disappointing. Because they keep talking about how, Anthem is just ginormous, ever-changing world, but if the actual flight box is not much bigger than the demo that that the map conveyed, then I will be disappointed in that regard.
I would agree with you. I will agree with you. I hope that I'm not putting too much on the line here by saying I think we're okay in that respect, though, because if you went across the map, there were a lot of places that we couldn't get to for the section that we were in, and then the map seemed to go even further.
Yeah. So I have these.
Yeah, and
stats.
We couldn't really see most of the map, so that's why I reserve it a little bit. But if I have to have one woe, it's that the map would not extend much past what we saw, and that would be kind of disheartening.
And that's not to say that that map is not going to get extended in the future, because they have an entire roadmap for how they want Anthem to go. So I can't imagine that we're going to be stuck with that size map indefinitely. But anyway,
I agree.
I found the numbers that I was looking for and had you guys vamp for me ever so valiantly. Thank you, by the way, for that.
That's what we do. That's what we're here for. Teamwork.
So, this is an official statement about the wrap-up of the VIP demo, that it said, across 2.5 days the demo was open, players played 9 million hours.
Woo!
And
that's a lot of data.
The Stronghold was completed 1 million times.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yeah.
So for all the complaints people had for connectivity, they were sure able to beast it a couple times.
Yeah.
My gosh.
And let's be honest. How many times do you think it was actually attempted?
Probably around 3
triple
million,
that
right?
value.
Yeah.
It triple that value. Because realistically, the odds of us getting in a match was about every 3.
Yeah.
I mean, the failure rate was about 2 to 3 every time.
Yeah. But those are
were there
just
more
that
numbers?
Is a lot of strongholds.
Just some numbers to chew on. There was one that was kind of more morbid, in that the the little grabbits, the innocent little woodland creatures.
Were people butchering grabbits?
2 million of them were killed in.
I killed one.
Poor grabbits.
Why did you kill one? I didn't kill anything that was not hostile.
Was it an accident? Okay, well, I will admit I killed one by accident.
Vast is the heartless killer in this situation.
Oh my god! And
let the record show.
No, I didn't know if it would give me anything or not, so I had to test.
Hey, I have an excuse. One crawled in front of me while I was firing a nuke, and there was no hope. Like, I went and I ulted, and then I was like, nope, you're dead. And it just got flattened. There was nothing left.
Oh, man.
Smoldering smoke pile was all that was left of it. But not of my own choice. Involuntarily.
Yeah, that's it for the numbers. I wanted to get them right, and it speaks to how strong this community might be in the future.
Might. This is true.
Yeah.
Well,
it might be pretty legit.
Well, their transparency and their ability to make some changes will really go far.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've hit about all we can talk about.
Yeah, that's a pretty exhaustive demo speak.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We
But
can't
we saw
wait.
a lot.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we saw a lot, and we will be back on Friday, February the 1st, for the open demo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, I hope to see you guys there. We are a team of 3, so there is a chance that one of you guys that listen to this will run across it and play with us. Because, there is that elusive 4th slot that we have not filled usually.
And that the Randys so far are living up to their Randy status.
Yeah, really.
Of derpery.
Oh my god. You play a storm, stay in the sky, okay? You are...
I'm gonna stick down here with the Colossians.
You are a frail little...
Stop.
You're a frail little bug on the ground. You are a god in the sky. Stay in the sky, okay?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. That's about it. Any other closing statements?
Not really. I think we pretty much hit it all. We'll have more after this next demo and kind of do a demo part 2.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
All right, I think that we can go ahead and close this out. Tell them where to find us, Scorch.
All right. You can find us on Twitch at Durnami Gaming, on Twitter at Durnami Gaming, and on YouTube at Durnami Gaming. We play a whole bunch of games, but we're really excited about Anthem, so that's what we're talking about and what we will be playing here in the future. Go talk to us. We're always, open for a conversation. Play with us. Talk, all that stuff. And that is it. I guess we'll see y'all in the future. Goodbye.